Hi guys, I'm Shani Prideaux. I'm the director of the Fuel Focus and a executive health coach. I had a really great session with a client today, and I wanted to share with you some insight that we had. We had a bit of a major breakthrough for her, and it was really exciting. And what I feel quite strongly is that there are a lot of people out there who can relate and really give them some thought. Thoughts to think, basically, when they're next going through their own kind of emotional phase. What I'm working with her with is emotional eating and an eating disorder. Okay, so let's just be really objective, really blunt just to begin with, and say that pretty much anybody who uses food in any way, shape or form as an emotional crutch has an eating disorder. Okay, so it's just a term. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you anything other than using food as a tool. Okay, and that's okay. It means though that it does have the ability to, like anything else, alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, anything, become addictive. The difference with food is that we can't not eat. So unless you're an anorexic. And if you're an anorexic, I mean, we all know that you're going to die pretty quickly. In the scheme of things, you'll die pretty quickly. It'll probably feel really slow, but in the scheme of life, you're going to die pretty quickly by not eating. So the rest of us who are actually going to eat, because otherwise we will die, we have no choice but to continue eating. And so it's not like an alcoholic where when you are a recovered alcoholic, you abstain completely. We can't do that with food, otherwise, we die. So the big thing that I wanted to talk about today is the process in which we think about and justify the choices that we make, and our ability to even acknowledge that we have a choice. So the big breakthrough that we had today was just so great, and this is what I feel is really important for everybody, is that through going through the process with her, walking her through what she does, the actions that she takes when she's about to do this thing that she does, and I don't want to go into details because it is private, but she felt that after making food choices that she felt bad about. Okay, so when everything's going well, this is the same with everybody. When everything's going really well, we feel good. And so, we don't need tools then because everything's going really well. So how many people can attest to the fact that when you're, on a diet and you're eating really, really well, and you're feeling really good, it's really easy to stay on that, right? But then something happens, and it's when things are going bad that we need the tools, because it's when things are going bad that we start to become unconscious and we start to not pay attention, and all of a sudden, bang, you're in this bad place and you're finding yourself repeating old habits. Okay, that's when old habits kick in. So we were walking her through the process of, think bad time, not good time, because she does a lot of good stuff. Through the bad time of eating a bunch of stuff that she didn't want to eat. And she finds herself unconsciously going through this process. Like, she literally gets up and her legs are moving and she's going to the destination that she always goes to before she even knew she was doing it. And then all of a sudden she finds herself standing in this place. Prior to going through with the purging that she does, she found herself standing in this place. Now, at that point, I stopped her and I said, okay, we've just identified a moment. Okay, so we've just identified a moment. You were unconscious while you were walking to your destination. You weren't thinking about the feelings you were having. You were just feeling them, and the feelings were propelling you forward. Okay? Then you find yourself in your destination and you stopped. She said, yes, I did stop. And then what did you think? And she said, I don't really want to do this. Okay, so there's a moment. Okay, so she didn't go from being unconscious to after the act. She went from being unconscious to standing at her destination. And there was a moment. And what I'm trying to point out is that at that moment is when we get to make a choice. We have to be able to, if nothing else, stand there in that moment and take a breath and think, I can choose. I have a choice now. It can be a hard choice. I'm not saying it's easy, but you have one. So the tool that I gave her for this week to work on is to just notice the moments. The moments, there is always one. You don't go from being out of control, unless you're a complete psycho, you don't go from being out of control to after the event without a moment. So whatever it is that's going on, whether it is, your thing is that you're flipping out at your kids because of, reacting to something that's going on, or, you are going to the fridge late at night because you have something that's come up and you're trying to stuff some emotions down, whether it is having too many glasses of wine, or even having a glass of wine as a crutch, whether it is anything, okay? Going for a cigarette is probably a really big one, or distracting yourself on Facebook, or whatever it is that you're using as a tool to take you away from how you're really feeling and away from the truth. There is a moment. You do not go from unconscious behaviour to after the act without a moment. So I wonder how many of us could completely change our outcomes if we started to awaken our senses, awaken our thought processes, awaken our whole selves to looking for the moments. It could be a split second, to just find that moment in which the choice is made. Okay, so she was unconscious on the way to arriving to her destination. Her legs were moving to get her to her destination, to go through with the act that she felt that her stories would tell her would make her feel better. That part was unconscious. She doesn't even realize she's doing that because it's such a habit until she gets there and she's standing there. And then when she's standing there, she has this moment. Every time she has this moment. This is the moment that you need to look for in whenever you're doing whatever it is that you do out of habit, addiction, crutch, whatever. Find the moment, take a breath, and just think, I have a choice now. It's not an easy choice to make, but you do have one. You are powerful enough to make a choice. In that moment, just take a minute. Just take time. Say to yourself, I'm going to give myself some time. So her job for this week is to, in that moment, notice it, and in that moment say, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. I'm just going to stand here for a minute and just think to myself, I can make a choice. What do I want to choose? Do I want to choose this behaviour that I think is going to make me feel better based on a belief that I have, that stories I've told myself? Or am I going to choose what propels me to greater me on the reality, which is not this particular act, the reality of what will get me where I want to go? Just take 1 minute. And after you've had that minute in your moment to breathe and say to yourself, I have a choice. If you still want to go through with it, then no one's saying you can't, because it is your choice. If you want to eat that block of chocolate, it's your choice. If you want to purge, that is actually your choice. If you want to have a glass of wine, it's your choice. If you want to have a cigarette, it's your choice. But in that minute, when you have acknowledged your moment, you'll start to see moments in all the rest of your life where you get to make a choice in those as well. And just give it some time. We do so much stuff unconsciously. We do so much stuff being detached from the actual outcome that we just do it without giving ourselves enough time. And it almost becomes urgent because we're so used to doing it. We just need to take a moment, find the moment, take a moment, and add some time. And see what happens. Thanks, guys. See ya.